EA Sports. It's in the game.
Welcome to Retrotopia, your retro gaming paradise. This is Sam, 1/3 of your host, the host crew over here at Retrotopia. We're here this week to talk NHL 94. That's right, it's playoff season for hockey, and Brian and I decided, why not cover a classic, NHL 94? But before we get into that, we're going to talk to the patrons a little bit and hear your thoughts on the game, some questions from the community. We'll tell you a little bit about what I've been playing. So if you want to skip that, skip ahead maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and you'll be into the NHL 94 talk with me and Brian. But stick around, we have some fun. For the plugs, we have the social medias, Discord, Patreon, and you can find all of that at linktree/Retrotopia. That's linktr.ee/Retrotopia. And we have a new merch store. I believe it's at teepublic. Don't quote me on that. But if you're in the Discord, we dropped a link there. Otherwise, I believe the link is also on the link tree, but don't quote me on that either. We got two designs. One's a general logo, which looks pretty cool. And then we also have the new catchphrase, "Show me your RPG-ness." It's great. That's from if you don't know, that's from a recent episode of Retrobytes. So give that a listen too if you haven't already. And more to come. We'll keep churning out some stuff. So looking forward to wearing that about town. If you're new, welcome. I might have said that already, so welcome again. So NHL playoffs are starting. My team, the Anaheim Ducks, are out. That's my favorite team. Brian's favorite team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, are in, as are a lot of Canadian teams. So that'll be interesting. I think there's an interesting mix in the NHL playoffs this year. So I'm looking forward to watching a lot of games coming up. And college hockey season just wrapped up. So big congratulations to the University of Wisconsin women's hockey. They won their 8th national championship. Go Badgers. And Western Michigan men's hockey won their first national championship this year. After getting to their first Frozen Four, and that was a lot of fun to watch too. So if you enjoy hockey or chatting sports, we do that over in the Discord. So come join us over there. It was a good time. All right, and so now we will move on into the 8-bit banter box, which is culturally elegant. So first comes from Logan, who says, "Hi Sam, how are you now? Good, and you?" Our next question comes from the Big Deal, who says, and this is a pretty good one. Weird. Okay, the formatting of your question on my notes got a little goofy, so I'm gonna read your full question, and then I'm going to provide my answer here. If you could swap two characters between The Simpsons and South Park, who would they be, and what hilarity would ensue? I feel like Bart and Cartman is the obvious answer. And then he adds, I feel like Bart would completely abuse Butters, but Mr. Garrison would put him in his place, where Mrs. Krabappel never could. On the other hand, Cartman would give Skinner a run for his money, but quickly become target of Nelson, Jimbo, Dolph, and Carney. That's that's pretty good. I was thinking about this, and like, man, the humor style might not quite match up, because South Park goes a little bit more edgy and raunchy at times, and than The Simpsons ever could. But I would say like Butters and Ralph Wiggum would be a good swap, because I love those characters, and I think it would be funny to see them get kind of like beat up on in their having their roles swapped. I would say Mrs. Garrison, Mr. and or Mrs. Garrison and Mrs. Krabappel swap would be really fun. But I think also like a total crossover, like the Family Guy Simpsons crossover that they did a few years back would be pretty funny. I don't know. I think I'll stick with those. That would be my pick. Thanks for that question. Huli says, Sam, you're a clam covered in jam eating some Spam while huffing a can of Pam. Ugh, that sounds awful. But yeah, I appreciate the rhymes. Making me try to say that. Anyways, how do you manage playing so many games at one time? First of all, barely. Trying to find the time to fit games in can be kind of tough when you work full time and you do other stuff too. Whoops. Sorry, I hit my mic stand there. But otherwise, the real answer is that I've started at Brian's suggestion, which was a great suggestion, keeping my a whiteboard in my office here, and I've sorted it into 3 categories where I've games I'm playing, games that are on deck, and games that are ready to record. So it kind of helps me stay focused. Otherwise, I would play a little bit of everything and get nothing done. So that's kind of how I manage it. All right, this is a long premise, so bear with me while I read this, but it's a really fun thought here. So this comes from Game Genie US, or Game Genius. That's a great name. So I had this thought, and I'm wondering if it seems like a good idea or not. Maybe it's been done or similarly done before, and I just didn't know about it. All right, so you make an online game that links all of the Final Fantasy games and makes it competitive. You go through whichever Final Fantasy game and level your party up like you would usually. You can then export your party into the online game and do a matchmaker, like Madden, and pit yourself against others from the same FF, or Final Fantasy, or their party from another. Keep a lifetime record of wins and losses, be able to actively switch party members in real time, maybe even set up a scoring system for successful attacks. This way you can break down into total points and win-loss, keep leaderboards, etc. I know there's a ton of nuance that would need to be thought through, but what do you think of the overall idea? And add to this, you could choose the fighting style, like playing a different game mode, meaning you could choose the active fighting style like more current RPGs, or do traditional turn-based style. And you could do the mini games like the card games from Final Fantasy 8 or 9, pitting your cards against other decks, or your blitzball teams against others. Wow, there's a lot to unpack here, but that's a pretty cool idea. Kind of made me think of how, like today with modern, like I'd say from like the DS or the 3DS onwards up to the current games on the Switch, kind of like what you can do with Pokemon. I mean, Pokemon has got an online component to it now that's actually pretty fun. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Like, I don't know how they would do this. I would think that you'd have to take ports of the game so you could actually play the game and then import your characters. So there'd have to be like an online service for it, kind of like Pokemon Home. And then you would be able to, like, you'd have to, man, there'd be a lot of like assets and things that would have to go into this. So it would be a massive undertaking, I would assume, but it's a really cool idea. You could level up your party and then transfer your characters, carry your characters into the online portion of it, or the I guess it would, not really an MMO, but yeah, like the competitive online space. That's really cool. But yeah, I don't know. Like a lot of even the turn-based systems between Final Fantasy games are different enough where it might be a challenge. So I don't know how they would figure it out, but that's a really intriguing idea. I like that. Thanks for the thought there. That's pretty cool. It's a great idea. And the last comment comes from Callan, who says, if you could be in any video game as a character, which one would it be and why? For sure, Stardew Valley, or like a Harvest Moon Story of Seasons type game, like a farm sim. I don't want to be in any sort of horrible world or anywhere where I'm going to get killed. So yeah, nice and peaceful, and then I can just like sit in that world and play my video games that are more violent and scary, and I can be in a peaceful setting. So for sure, I hope that's not too boring of an answer, but it's got to be one of those. Thanks for the comments. Keep them coming. Those are a lot of fun. I like answering those when it's my turn to be the host for the week. So thanks. What have I been playing? RoboCop still. It's been a slow, like I have to kind of pick and choose my times to play it when I find time and when I'm actually in front of the TV. But I'm really enjoying it and hope that I can finish it soon, because I'd really like to sit and do a review of it, maybe for the Patreon. I think that would be cool. So it's really enjoyable. The story is fun. Like, usually story is not really that big of a deal to me, but in this game, it's got that old movie style. Like all the actors, basically likenesses are brought over into the game, and the story's fun. Like, all the missions are kind of like progressing the story really nicely, and the gameplay is fun. The violence is over the top, of course. So that's a great game. RoboCop. I highly suggest it. That's over on the PS5. I don't know if it's on Xbox also, but I would imagine so. Also working through Pokemon Silver. It's grindy for sure. So I've been enjoying that while I watch TV at night or do whatever. Kingdom Hearts, I really fell off of that. I'm adding it to the list here though, because I was considering doing a restart. Now that I kind of have a feel for how the game works, I'd like to give it another shot from the start. It's just a matter of finding time to do that, but I think I'd have a better time with it if I don't force my way through with my current loadout and everything. I'd like to restart it with a better understanding of how the game works for sure. And then Fire Emblem on the GBA, I played, I think, I don't know how much, probably about half of this game before. And I need to do a restart so we can talk about it for the show. But it's a really great game. It's gorgeous, pixel graphics and everything, and it's available on Switch Online. So if you're looking for a great strategy RPG, and those are a lot of fun, that's a great one. That's a great one to play. And then I've been keeping an eye on that PS1 poll. There's a couple games on there that are neck and neck. I won't say which, because if you're not already on the Patreon, I'd like you to join and take a look at that and decide what PS1 game you make us play for the April poll. Those are always really fun to watch. So keeping an eye on it. And that's what I've been up to. We're going to turn it over for the gentleman's intro, where Alan will tell us a little bit about the sport of hockey.
Since the very dawn of humanity, the species known as Homo sapiens has exhibited a curious proclivity for conflict. In the earliest chapters of our story, primitive man, armed with little more than wooden clubs, would engage in rudimentary yet decisive contests of strength. As time progressed, the sharpened blade took precedence, used not merely for survival, but as a symbol of dominance. And then came a curious anomaly in the great northern wilds of the earth, a land blanketed in snow and serenity. A young nation emerged, Canada. Here, evolution took an unexpected turn. Unlike their ancestral counterparts, the Canadian people, resolutely polite and surprisingly inventive, repurposed their blades. No longer used for battle, these blades were affixed to their feet. With them, they glided gracefully across frozen lakes like migratory birds in flight. It was a sight to behold. Yet, even in this tranquil new form, the spirit of the club endured. Drawn perhaps from ancient traditions, such as the, shall we say, spirited negotiation with baby seals, Canadians began using their clubs not to strike one another, but to guide. What began as an effort to push sweet, circular confections known as Tim Hortons donuts across the ice soon gave way to something more competitive. Tribes across the land took note. They too sought to claim the donut and return it triumphantly to their own settlements. Thus began a ritual, a game, a war, the great contest of hockey. The donut, fragile and flawed, was soon replaced by a hardened rubber proxy, the puck. This small black disc became the central focus of territorial skirmishes waged upon frozen lakes. Two tribal leaders emerged, Jean-Pierre Jacques-François Tremblay and his rival, the stoic John Armstrong. These chiefs kept careful record of every puck driven into enemy lands. Defensive strategies evolved. Each side appointed a solitary guardian, a stalwart protector of the homeland, tasked with blocking the incoming puck. These protectors became known as goal preventers, or as we know them today, goalies. But no moment proved more pivotal than the Maple Day Massacre. At the break of dawn, two warriors met at the center of the lake. They wore blades upon their feet and bore clubs in hand. Yet, in a moment of unspoken mutual respect, they cast aside their weapons and began to strike with their fists. The sight inspired their brethren. From the benches, all warriors surged forward, culminating in what is now remembered as the Brawl of the Benches. Recognizing the need for order in this passionate contest, the tribes convened. A council was formed, rules were etched in ice, and a system of governance was established. No more than 6 warriors per side, a single puck in play, lines drawn to prevent stealthy encroachments, and should a warrior break the rules, they would be sent away to sit in isolated reflection for 2 minutes, or sometimes 5. Thus, hockey was born. And from this ancient frozen dance evolved the modern spectacle we know today, the National Hockey League, a grand continuation of tribal glory, and from it, a digital tribute, NHL 94, released in September 1993 on the Sega Genesis and November that same year on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Crafted by EA Sports, because it's in the game. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and good night.
All right, thanks, Alan. And now we have some comments from our community about the game of the week, and we'll start with Because, who says, I feel like this game was a lot of people's exposure to the NHL series. So nostalgic is probably huge on this. Nostalgia is probably huge on this one, sorry. Other games after did things better, obviously. This is the first game in the series that had team licensing, added the one-timers and shootouts. Yeah, I agree with everything there. Although I think there was a game prior, one previous game in the NHL series by EA called just NHL Hockey, and that also had team licensing, and it was kind of like a more rudimentary version of NHL 94. I have a copy of that as well on my Genesis, and I played that a little bit also. But yeah, it's missing a lot of what they later added to NHL 94 for sure. All right, and Logan says, you actually left 2 comments, buddy, and I had to stitch them together because they were out of order, and I was like, what's going on? Because the first comment was a continuation of the second one. So here we go. I'm going to put them together here. This game gives me the same feeling as that first long drag from a cigar after not smoking for 9 months. Maybe not the most perfect thing, but in that moment, buddy, there is nothing better. At one time, I had recorded the intro music and several goal songs and used them as ringtones. Ah, the good old days. And you know what else I love? The broadcast they do before a game, the way the little Zamboni guy waves when the home team is winning, and the hats that magically flip on the ice, the highlights in between periods, and the way the injured players wiggle, and pretty much everything else. Hell, if I see a goal in any form of hockey get scored by a player cutting across the middle of the ice, ripping top cheese, I refer to it as an NHL 94. Insert the GOAT meme. Absolutely. Everything on this. And as we were playing, when we recorded this episode, we were chatting while Brian was streaming the game on Twitch, and I got a chance to see it on the Super Nintendo, and I have the Sega copy. So that was actually kind of interesting. And I really think that they added a lot more little touches to the Super Nintendo version that is lacking in the Sega version, like that announcer. Some of the other just graphical, presentation was a little bit different, but just gave it a little bit more pop. So yeah, the Super Nintendo version of this game is really, really cool. And if I ever end up picking up a Super Nintendo, I'd definitely be looking for a copy of it. It's a great game. And also, the Sega version is great, but man, there was just I noticed the differences right away between the SNES and the Sega Genesis. And the last comment, Hooli says, I played this once. I did terrible. Always loved the way it looked, though. Retro hockey games seem to hold up much better than other old sports games. I agree, although I think there's a Mount Rushmore of, and who knows, you might disagree with me, but I've got my Mount Rushmore. Ugh, that's hard to say. I've got a Mount Rushmore of 16 or 8-bit era sports games, one for each of the major North American sports. So I would put NHL 94 on there for sure. NBA Jam, definitely, as an NBA game that holds up. Tecmo Bowl for the Nintendo. And then Ken Griffey Baseball, or whatever I think it's Grand Slam Baseball, but on the Super Nintendo. Those are the 4 16-bit or 8-bit era retro sports games that I think people point to and hold up. A lot of the other ones might or might not, but I think those are the standard for retro sports games. And yeah, even as time went on and you get into the 3D era and the PlayStation and the the Xbox, the PS2, the N64, yeah, a lot of those just kind of are the same game over and over again and don't really capture the same magic as those when they really nailed the 16-bit sports game. So yeah, one last thing before we get started. Those are the comments on the game. Thanks guys for commenting. Really appreciate that. One quick disclaimer: we did record this while Brian was streaming it on Twitch, so this is kind of more of a natural conversation while Brian's playing the game. So hopefully you guys like it. If you don't, just let us know whether it works or not. We might try to incorporate a little bit more streaming or trying to get me into adding a couple. We could do a 24/7 stream with all of us in different time zones. No. We're not going to have a 24-hour channel, but we might incorporate some more streaming into our just into the platform in general. So let us know what you think. We may not record live podcasts on stream anymore, just depending on what you guys think. But the conversation's a little bit more natural. We talk about a lot of different things, including NHL 94. So let's go. Show us your best, Sally. Brian and I are dropping the gloves to chat NHL 94. All right, we are here to talk NHL 94, and this is a special episode because we're doing this live on stream on Twitch with Brian, who's playing the game. How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. I've been playing this game over the course of the week, but been trying to get the Twitch channel back up and running, and what a better time to do it than playing NHL 94.
Hell yeah,
right?
buddy.
This game is just pure gold.
Man, already I'm watching this, and the title screen and everything is different on the SNES versus I've got the Genesis version. And there's some little differences. It's kind of cool seeing that. Yeah, this is going to be a good time. Did you?
What's another? Oh, Nordiques versus.
Oh, there we go.
Aliens.
Yeah,
There we go.
the battle of the greatest retro logos of all time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man. Oh man, this is great. Sorry, I'm gonna be so distracted this whole time. So hopefully this doesn't make for a terrible podcast.
Yeah. I'm just gonna tell the people who are actually watching us on Twitch right now, we're not going to react to the comments so much because it's going to be kind of hard if we do.
Man, I can't split my attention.
If you're listening to this in the podcast, you won't understand what I just said. But if you're here on the Twitch channel, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Sam, take it away.
Thanks everybody. So let's start from the beginning here. Did you obviously played this quite a bit? Am I right? Back in the day.
This was a game we got in, I think 93 is like when the game came out, because they always are like a year ahead. And 93 was the year that Montreal won the cup, and that's the last time a Canadian team actually won the cup until this year when Toronto, I swear to God, is going to win it
we
this
can only
time.
Hope.
But this is also the game that actually stopped me and my brother from playing games together.
Do tell.
We would fight. Yeah, okay, so before I get into the actual game, back in 90-something, we were playing this game, and if one of us scored and cheered, the other one would get pissed and be like, you stop bragging, shut up, stop bragging. It actually came to the point where we would score a goal and be stone-faced because we didn't want to piss the other one off, and it just quit becoming fun. And to this day, I this is the game series that enrages me the most. I play NHL 2025, and I'm angry, like instantaneously angry.
Even just when you're playing by yourself? I mean, it's a lot harder.
It got to the point where, my dog would leave the room when they heard the EA Sports, and she was just
there's
because I would like it's just instant anger.
There's certain sounds that my dogs are just like, no, bye. This actually, the Super Nintendo version. Obviously, I played the Sega version. I've got a physical copy. This looks better, and you won't hear me say that a lot with, the Super Nintendo version versus the Sega version. I think sometimes the Sega version looks and sounds a little bit better, even if the Super Nintendo version plays better or is, considered the better version. I think this looks pretty damn good. And I really liked, I was confused when someone commented in the Discord at some point this week when I was playing this, and they said I love the announcers beforehand. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because the Sega doesn't have that.
Oh, it doesn't? Like that big spiel there about
you had the digital sprite of the announcer, going through a whole spiel about who's playing and stuff like that. That was pretty cool, but yeah, Sega didn't have that. So I guess Nintendo did what Sega didn't, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just that doesn't work when you reverse it.
That's awesome.
Myself, I didn't have this game growing up. I don't think I had a hockey game of my own until NHL 99, which is kind of the one I played the most for a while. But my cousin had NHL 96, and I think 96 is the other one that people point to as being a great one.
Yeah, I think that's where you could create a player, and it came to the point where I'm fucked. It came to the point where you could create your own player, and you could overpower them so you became a superstar. You just make yourself, and
create a player used to be broken in old sports games. When they, it still is, but I think there was a point where you could, we would make them fastest, shortest, fattest. You could top out their speed, but they'd be 500 pounds and 5 foot. Oh, Pat Verbeek, check it out.
Yeah. I always tried to make I used to make teams of 100% players, goalie that couldn't be beaten and players that were so fast. It kind of ruined the game for me.
Yeah, it's not.
So I started realizing that you kind of have to have that skill difference.
Yeah, it's not as fun when you just steamroll everyone all the time. Although that can be fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? NHL 23 was the last one I purchased, and I was playing that game, and I wanted a perfect record. So if I was going to lose the game, I actually turned off the game so it wouldn't save my my loss, and I'd replay the game until I won it. And I actually only made it through about 25 games before I got bored, but I'm pretty sure I played a whole season.
Wow, that's I mean, that's dedication. But yeah, like I just turning it off, like, fuck this, I'm not playing anymore. Just like,
yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm taking my puck and going home, right?
Oh man, yeah, this is fun. I obviously this is the first time we're trying this, so let us know. Like on the audio medium, this might not be as good as a standard episode, but let us know. But this is a good time.
Yeah,
I just love how you seem like you have some penalties and like different. You got offsides and stuff like that. That was all default turned off.
Yeah, I've turned it all on, so I have to manually change my lines.
Okay.
And,
we got penalty.
I have to offsides and penalties, and I almost put it in my own net. And whoops!
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm playing Quebec Nordiques the year before they went to Colorado and won the cup there. So I got great players like Joe Sakic and Matt Sundin.
Man, how shitty is that for Quebec? Where it's like, oh, your team's gonna move and then win the cup the next year. That sucks.
The worst part is they built a new arena in Quebec, hoping to get. They wanted the Winnipeg Jets when they came back, so they kind of went with that. Build the arena, and they will get the hockey team, but it never came to fruition.
Yeah, that sucks.
So sits there completely limp, and then every time there's an expansion team with Vegas and Seattle, Seattle Kraken, no, Utah.
Oh God, yeah, when
Seattle and Utah and Vegas, they put their name in, and they get completely shut out by Bettman. Bettman does not want a team in Quebec.
That guy's such a little tiny dick. Like, just I hate Gary Bettman. Like, yeah, it's great that he's expanded the sport, but he's such a little weenie. He's just a.
Oh, it's time for him to go.
New York businessman, and we know how that goes. And then going back to like the having the penalties off, it's really kind of fun to play that way, but it gets really frustrating because like you don't even have the puck yet, and the other team is just like coming over to cross check the shit out of you.
Oh yeah. Like you can do the power checks there, and that's where you get most of your penalties in this game because not very sophisticated. Like even right now, like I just ran into the goalie, and last time I did that, it actually gave me a penalty for interference, and it's very touch and go.
Yeah, I remember playing these. Yeah,
but no, I think the best part about going back to this game is I played the All-Star team there just to kind of guess the number. And like right now I'm 52 and I don't know who that is because there's no names. But I started guessing numbers, and for the life of me I couldn't remember who would wear number 11 in the 90s. And I eventually scored a goal with them, and it was Mark Messier. And I'm like, how the fuck did I forget Mark Messier?
Oh yeah, that is a weird number.
This is one of those hockey cards that you wanted to get when you were a kid.
Yeah, I remember as a kid though, like when you're a kid and you're playing these games, it's sports games in general. I would turn off like a lot of the penalties because I didn't understand the rules. I feel like fuck this. I don't want to. I want to have fun. I don't want to be like stopped for penalties every 5 seconds. So yeah, you just go on and turn all the offsides off, and like 2-line pass I would turn off all the time. Oh, there we go.
Oh, you bitch. Yeah, it was that was what was fun about this game as well, is you could turn off those things that would essentially be the annoyance for the game, and you would be able to actually compete. Like obviously right now I'm losing 2-0 because fuck me if I can't score a goal to save my life.
You're also like multitasking. It's kind of hard to podcast. It's actually kind of hard to podcast and watch you play. I can't imagine like if I were playing, this would be a complete disaster, not just somewhat of a disaster.
Oh yeah. I've shut my brain off and I'm going into like muscle memory right now. It's pretty good actually. I'm not too distracted, so that's what's really good about it. That, and I don't know any of the players, so I can't exactly like, start talking and yelling at who's fucking up on the ice, because let's be honest, it's me 100% of the time.
Whoever.
Oh, do you remember back in this era too? Like in the 90s, you had the touch icing, so people got like fucking railroaded into the boards and all these injuries. And then like Scott Stevens, who was famous for his hard hits, but turns out he just like fucking smoking people in the head.
That was no touch icing is a good rule change for player safety for sure. Holy shit.
For players' safety, but yeah, I missed the
Yeah, I
races,
know that.
though.
I mean that there was something to that, but still, like, let's skate as fast as we can towards a wall, and then probably run into it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. So, playoffs this year, buddy.
yeah,
playoffs.
what playoffs?
Fucking Toronto taking on Ottawa is the... Oh, for fuck's sakes, can you hit the backside of a fucking
No.
barn? There we go. So, Toronto taking on Ottawa this year. It got solidified yesterday, the day before we record, which is right now, I believe, a Wednesday. And, yeah, it looks like we're going to have a good series before Toronto goes golfing in 6
That's
games.
a great series. Like, how crazy is your area going to be? Like, I mean, you're a Toronto
Oh my god,
fan.
it's insane. The tickets are already going for like $400.
jeez. Well, 400 Canadians, that's like $5.
Yeah.
That's no big deal.
Oh, here's the funny thing. I live in Ottawa, Ontario, which has more Toronto fans than Ottawa fans. So whenever Toronto or Montreal shows up, you go to a game and you get either a 50-50 split if they can do it, or you get more of the opposing team than the home team fans showing up.
Yeah, it's actually...
It's getting better, but it used to be really bad. Like, it used to be the point where it was embarrassing to be an Ottawa fan.
Yeah.
So this is going to be insane because they really tried to limit who got the tickets to people who are Ottawa fans, but it's not going to work. A game here is going to be like a Toronto home game with the way they're cheering for them.
That happens here for like more for baseball and basketball, unfortunately, because Milwaukee's a pretty small market. So if you get like, especially for baseball, you get like a Chicago Cubs game in town, and it's just like, I don't even want to go to those. But yeah, my team, my preferred team is the Anaheim Ducks, and that is because when I played games such as this, I liked the logo the best, and that's how I picked when I was.
Oh, I thought I thought you were going to be like, because I like the Mighty Ducks
the movies
movie, and that's the
no,
only
the movies
reason.
did not really factor into it so much, because really I only of like the. If we take a pause and talk about the Mighty Ducks movies, I only really like the first one. After that, like,
yeah, that's actually
once,
true.
They came out with that movie, Disney started the franchise in Anaheim in '93, and then after that, like, D2 and D3 leaned heavily into like the NHL logo, I mean, like, I didn't care for those movies as much, and of course, like, oh, you just like it because of the that's how it started.
Yeah.
when I was like 8, so sue me. But yeah, that's my story. But yeah, today actually, it's fun that we're recording this today because today is the last regular season game. Ooh, nice one.
Tomorrow's the last regular season game for
today's the last one for the Ducks, and that's it because they did not make the playoffs again. It's been a bit of a drought.
So who you gonna put your money on in the playoffs this year?
I know you're biased to
Edmonton?
Canadian. No, not Edmonton. I know you're biased to Canadian teams, but I would or your Canadian team. I'd like to see a Canadian team win the cup this year. I say that every year. My team's not in it.
You know what? I do say that too. Like, I do have a pecking order when it comes to teams in Canada, but quite honestly, like when Edmonton was like right at the cusp last year, I was all on board. I was just 100%.
Oh, hell yeah.
It. But I also like that series because it was a really, really good series.
Yeah, I'd say my preference is, what is there? I have to think about it now. So like Montreal's in, right? And Toronto and Ottawa.
Yeah, Montreal hasn't solidified their
Oh,
spot
really?
yet.
And there's like only a couple of games left? That's wild. But yeah.
Yeah, they need 1 point to do it, and they lost like the last two games.
So yeah, and then you've got Edmonton and Vancouver's in, I believe, right?
No,
Did they get out? They're out. And I think
there's only one Canadian team on the West. No, two. There's Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal, and possibly Toronto, Ottawa, and
okay, if Montreal makes it in, you got a lot of chances there.
Yeah. Except for, one Canadian team's out in the first round because of, the Ottawa Toronto
you gotta
series, and then
cannibalize each other.
yeah, you know how it is. Let's go look at the game stats. All right, I played one period at this point of the podcast. We're about 17 minutes in. The score is 2-2. I came back from a 2-0 deficit. Hartford is beating Quebec with 13-10 shots. My shooting percentage is better just because of that. What a terrible stat. Oh my God. We're both 0 for 1 on the power play, and we both have a $1.26 in power play minutes. So yeah, that's a great first period.
Yeah,
so I'm going to keep you up to date when I'm doing
that's
all
right.
these.
What an even first period.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was creepily even.
Was 94 for sure your favorite? Like beyond like 94, 95?
I never bought 95 or
Okay.
96. I rented them, but I never bought them because they never captured the magic of this game. This was the best Super Nintendo NHL game in my opinion. I never wavered from this one, and I will hold it to this day that this is the only NHL game I will play for the Super Nintendo.
This looks fantastic. I think the 96 argument kind of goes more towards the Genesis. I think 96 on the Genesis was probably better. I might be just talking out of my ass here, but like this, to me, I'm like watching the stream here. This looks better to me than my Genesis version does. So there's something to be said for that.
I don't think I've ever seen the Genesis version, which is weird because, like you said earlier, like Genesis, everything tends to look better than Super Nintendo, and that's not an insult to Super Nintendo. That's just, accolades to Genesis for just being that much
right.
better.
And I even remember the Genesis being, like sports games being a real selling point for the Genesis. There were like, Madden and
well, yeah, EA had that whole thing where they had like the yellow tabs on their sports games, and I remember there was something about that. Like there's something special about EA and how they worked on Genesis.
Yeah, back before they were fucking evil.
Yeah, no, they were evil back then. Kind of like Elon Musk was evil back when everybody
true.
liked him.
Little babies can be evil too. Fuck those little evil babies.
Look at Hitler. His finger painting sucked.
Why do you think he got so mad? Yeah. So 94 was your gold standard. Did you what do you think of, we could kind of broaden this out and talk about your favorite video game hockey in general. Like, what did you think of Blades of Steel or any of the Gretzky games?
Oh my God, Blades of Steel. Well, there's a quick play on Blades of Steel versus ice hockey. I can't tell you which of those games I actually like better, but hockey was so pedestrian back in the NES days. It was just very simplistic. Like your goalie moved with no matter where you put your controller. So if you're chasing the puck and your goalie is following it, it was one of those things you had to think of two things at once. And this game at least allows you to not have to worry about your goalie because he is somewhat AI controlled. Right. Which, thank God, because I have no ability to think of two things at once.
Do you always leave... I always leave the goalie on automatic. I think there is a manual goalie control. Does that automatic...
Oh, there is somewhere. There's also... Yeah. There's a button you can press, too, to take control of your goalie.
That's the beauty of some of these games, especially like a fast-paced sport like hockey that doesn't really stop, is that, especially in the later iterations of these games, you could set it to where you control as much or as little as you want. You could also... Uh-oh. Is this a 3-on-5?
Yeah, 5-on-3, but I'm the one on the power play.
Well, there we go. You better score.
At this age of my life, there is no way I was scoring.
Even in a power play situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how you can... Oh, there we go. I like how in modern iterations of games like this, you can even, adjust strategy. You can do your dump and chase or, what have you for strategy. And you can also call out lines manually if you really want to. I never mess with that.
Yeah.
I think it's too much to worry about at once.
You know, my biggest problem with the modern NHL games is you can't play traditional hockey in them. You can't do the cycle. You can't dump and chase and stuff like that. They haven't figured out how to make that work. And it becomes people who, they play games so religiously that they've learned the exploits and how to, beat the goalie without even trying.
Right. Exploit that jank.
And yeah, and like this game, you can still kind of do it. It's obviously it's like very dumb AI, but you can still kind of set your lineup to actually rush the zone and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just newer games are too complicated.
In the
like even the skill sticks and stuff like that, like I cannot figure them out. And there's people that are just, that's all they use, and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I do like that it's there because you can use. I mean, it's just like FPS, like having the dual stick shooters versus how they used to be on like in the N64 days. Like you have that second stick, use it for one for movement, one for stick handling. It's really a cool idea. It's just really it's hard to master.
It is, yeah. It's what makes it worse too is it's supposed to mimic how you would actually do toe drags and stuff like that, but it just doesn't feel right. And you're thinking again, it's like twin stick shooters. You got to think of two things: your gun and your movement there. And my brain is not programmed that way, so
yeah.
I have a feeling if I took the time to actually learn it, I would do good, but I just don't have the patience. I just want to play hockey. I don't want to sit there and relearn an entire game.
Yeah, who's got that kind of time?
Not for something I've been playing for 31 years. If we go by this game,
yeah, this is a real if it ain't broke, don't fix it type scenario. This is like simplistic, but also perfect.
Well, it was nice when they brought out that special edition OV NHL 94-esque type game. And it tells you it's actually a testament about, this game when they brought out a special edition 94 version of a modern game as opposed to like any other of the, I guess, pixel graphic era games.
Yeah, kind of like, I wonder how successful or how well that did, because it is available on like eShops and stuff. That you can still pick it up and play it.
I think it's still on Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean it's there. You wonder how successful that was, because it would be cool to revive a lot of those old, like imagine NBA Jam, but with, I mean maybe they've done this and it's just not well known or something like that, but like an NBA Jam with current players, that would be
I don't
cool.
think they've done it.
No, I don't think so either.
Oh fuck, NBA Jam with
yeah.
Well, I've always said that maybe updating the mechanics of an NHL game or any sports game for that matter should be done every 4 to 5 years, but just update the rosters. Charge like a roster update fee, $10 or something.
Oh yeah.
Probably make a lot more money if you're not developing a new game every year. But then again, Control-C, Control-V is pretty much their mantra.
Yeah, I mean they just repackaged the same,
What was it, the Switch FIFA game there? They forgot to change the banners, and they had last year's date on the FIFA thing on the in the crowd there, in the crowd banners. Yeah, it's just kind of like, way to fuck that up.
Way to prove our point that it's the same game every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then no. Have you ever played any, there's a few I think pretty decent indie hockey games that are kind of retro style. Have you messed with any of those?
No, but you know what I'd really kind of like is there's a game, what was it called? Dodgeball Academy, and they made Dodgeball an RPG. I would love something like that in a sports game where you take on the role of a player and, it works with RPG elements there. You have to level up skills. Every game you get experience and you'll level up and you get better and better and through the seasons and the years.
Dude, have you ever played Super Blood Hockey? Oh,
No.
that's kind of exactly
Is that what that
that's
is?
kind of exactly what that game is. There's a story mode where so it's retro style, but there's extra fighting, extra blood, you like no rules. So it's kind of like NFL Blitz meets this style of like 8-bit hockey game. But then in between your games, you have all of your players and you have to, you know, let them rest or have them eat or lift weights or like do different things to level up different stats between games and stuff. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
and then it gets extreme because like if they're injured, you can like pull the plug on their life support and then like hire out a new player. Like when you pull the plug, like blood sprays everywhere. Like obviously it's like pixel 8-bit blood, but it's hilarious. Like it's actually a pretty tough game too, but it's pretty well done. I played the hell out of it a few years ago, and it's a fun game. Like they don't have real teams; they just have like country teams.
Well, of course, no self-respecting league is
Well,
going to
right,
give them
yeah,
the
they wouldn't
to
have
their
rights to it,
players.
but like they just have country teams. They didn't like make up. I kind of wish they would have made up team names. Ooh, that was a good goal.
Well, it's like fuck, what game was that? There was a Japanese company that made a sports game. I think it was baseball, and you know they just made up a whole bunch of what they thought sounded like American names, and they was just full of.
Oh yeah, I love those.
ridiculousness.
And I think you can name the players too, and then but then the other like plot point or storyline, I guess, for the RPG element is that all of your players are prison inmates. And so like it's like a prison hockey league. That's why it's so violent. It's good. So Super Blood Hockey, I recommend highly.
Yeah, it something I'm definitely going to look into. You know, I just asked the chat here in Twitch if they can actually
I
hear
hope so.
you. So hopefully they'll answer. I should have asked that like right at the beginning. I never thought about it. I could just be sitting here talking to myself and everybody's just like, "What the fuck
Yeah,
is up
like
with this guy?"
a real good one-sided conversation. That would be weird. We should do that. Upload an episode where you forget one of our tracks and it's just like really odd pauses and
Oh, I almost did on Retro Bites this week. Because when Alan's track comes in, it comes in as looking like it's stereo, even though it's mono. So I thought I had all three tracks, and I did not. So I almost started editing without all three
Whoopsie.
tracks, and I don't listen to it besides like here and there. And I could have missed. I think it was my track that was missing. So you know, considering on that one, I'm pretty heavy on the talking. That would have sucked. I would have noticed it before I released it, but
got a
geez.
spot check.
So, yeah, this is why we work as a team. Go team!
Ooh,
Oh, you
Bogeyman
can hear
can hear
Sam
me
better
better
than
than-
hear Brian. Thanks, Savagery, for letting me know. I am going to turn up my mic.
that means that no, you know what? That just means that my my track is just going to be like off the charts.
You never know. I can adjust some of the volume in the Twitch stream as well, so you know, maybe it's good that you're coming in. You're doing a lot of the talking. I'm just kind of sitting here listening to you. I've also turned my my microphone down a bit to try to curb some of the high peaking volumes I get. Yeah, there was a guy on YouTube that actually he wrote in that our tracks were inconsistent, the music was too loud, and I've taken that to heart. I have literally spent months trying to figure out how to get our audio to sync
Yeah, it's
up.
good constructive feedback.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The guy told us he'd never listen to us again, so you know I just don't give a crap about that.
Thank you for the
But,
constructive feedback.
You know, I want to improve my skills.
But
Yeah.
bye.
At least he actually gave feedback. Do you know how many people friggin' show up and just like, yeah, you guys fucking suck, and that's it?
Yeah. I mean, yes, and
But I don't think we're talking about NHL anymore, are we?
oh man, no. I was actually trying to find because there was speaking of, I mean, we did talk a little bit. I mean, let's be honest, this is a pretty thin game to do a whole episode on. So that's why we're doing this and trying out something different with this. Because I mean, this is our first. We're into the late 70s of our episode run, and this is our first sports game, I think. Unless you count Mario Kart.
Yeah, it is our first sports game. I'm going to actually upload the YouTube video of this Twitch stream well before we actually release the full episode. So, if people actually check out our YouTube channel, they'll actually see the podcast early. And they'll see what actually goes on when we don't know what we're doing, which is every day.
Yeah, so I found there is another hockey game that I had on my wish list because I think it's probably only available digital. So we talked about Super Blood Hockey. That one's really fun. I highly recommend it. It is very tough, but it's fun. And then there's another one that's modeled kind of more after like the N64 era graphics. It's called Bush League Hockey or Bush Hockey League. That one I want to check out too.
I think you told me about that one.
That one I want to check out too. But yeah, I think it's got kind of middling reviews. I think Blood Hockey does too. I mean, the indie sports game is kind of a niche. I think people that really, really love sports games like realistic. I think at least as realistic as possible sports games. So I think some of these like kind of quirky indie sports games maybe don't do as well sometimes, or maybe they're just bad. I don't know. Who knows? I know that Super Blood Hockey is good, but so I'll vouch for that one. But
yeah, going on that vein, what do you think of those franchise mode type games where you actually sit behind the desk as opposed to play any actual sport?
Where it's just kind of more of the GM simulator.
Yeah, and some like F1 has a game completely dedicated to that called F1 Manager, where you manage a whole F1
Yeah,
team.
I never got into those. I know they've made the manager games.
It sounds like work.
It's like work sim or whatever. I always see like, hold on, I'm gonna look up something. Sorry if this
here
is.
we go. Sam is typing.
I know. Sorry. Whatever. Yeah, there's a game that released in 2020 called Truck and Logistics Simulator, and I guarantee you that's boring as fuck. That's just a job.
All right. You got to look this one up online. I'm going to send you the link. It's called Cross Country Canada. It was an educational game we played in school, and you took on the role of a trucker, and you had to go across Canada and pick up cargo and drop it off in other places. But the caveat was, in the box, there was a map that told you where all the different types of cargo you could pick up across the country were, and it was all text-based. So, like, there was graphics for the truck and stuff like that, but you had to do all your commands through text, like start truck, drive truck, all that kind of stuff, stop, and you had to rest. It was just like this. It was a fun little simulator game, but we were never given the map with where all the stuff we had to pick up was. So we would just drive around the country burning fuel, getting tired, taking way too long to get items, to get deliveries. And it was just the best time in the world. It was such a dumb game. God, I remember
Kind of sounds like, well, I know you guys had it too, but it kind of sounds like the Canadian version of Oregon Trail.
It probably was. Actually, you know what? I almost damn near guarantee you it was just a rip-off of
I'm
Oregon
looking at
Trail.
screenshots.
Except for no dysternia. We got maple syrup
fever. Can you pick
fever.
up friggin' hitchhikers? That's crazy. That sounds unsafe.
Oh, they're not hitchhikers here. They're just friends you haven't met.
I tell you what, if it's text-based like this, they need to cross this with like Leisure Suit Larry and make like a dirty, like sketchy truck stop, simulator. Anyways, this is way off topic.
Oh yeah, we're not even on hockey anymore. Like, we're not even like skirting it anymore. But what else can you say about this game? I mean, let's look at it. You said the graphics are great. That's true. It looks fantastic. It's very clean, crisp. The players are the players. The numbers tell you who they are. They got the roster of players for this era. The interface is just exactly what you need it to be. It doesn't need to be fancy because all you need is a timer, the score, and if you're on the power play or not, and that's all they have.
I like the face-off window.
They have the organ music.
The organ
playing.
Music, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. That's a nice little touch. And no, it's just everything about this game is, it's just, I don't know, it's nostalgic. Like, I love it. Like, as soon as I started playing it again, I almost couldn't put it down. Like, I had to actually focus on finishing some assignments there, and it, it's just, man, I don't know how to, like, really summarize the my feelings on this.
It really
game.
is hard to put into words.
I love it so much.
Yeah, like these.
But I will say, I will never play this game with my freaking brother again. Like, I know he occasionally listens to this, but he can go just absolutely fuck himself. We will never play this game.
Hell yeah! I mean,
he's gonna punch me so hard.
You've got
for that.
like a open season here. Chirp away, like, you know, really let him have it.
Oh yeah. But
insult his mother. I'm or maybe not.
He does. Yeah, insult his mother. His mother's a whore. Wait, what?
Yeah, there's something to be said for like the games that just nail it for you. Like, I feel the same about, you know, like Gen 1 Pokemon. Like, I mean, you'll always go back to it, and that's your, you know, that's your comfort. This is it. It's hard to put into words. Nice.
Yeah, I think I know what made this game better than NHL 93, and it's the one-timer. I think this is the first game they actually added the one-timer, which is what just elevated above, like, last year's iteration of this game.
God,
which I believe was actually the first
Could
one.
you imagine developing the game and, like, figuring out, like, play testing and figuring out the one-timer? We're like, we nailed it. And I remember also...
High fives all
I remember
around.
the, like, NHL 99... I unfortunately don't have the boxes and manuals anymore, but I've got my original copy. I remember them making a very big deal about adding fighting in and having, like, the fighting be realistic and spending time, like, you know, new fight engine, like like it was such a big deal. There's no fights in this, is there? Like, they didn't introduce that yet in 94.
No, there isn't. I hate fighting in hockey unless there's actually passion.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate those manufactured fights.
Yeah, and once they changed the rule, you know, you can't, you know, you have to wait for a face off or whatever. It's just kind of weird how, like, two players just kind of, like, back up and kind of separate and start fighting. Those are weird. I like when they kind of happen naturally in the course of play, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. Ooh, that was a bad offside.
Yeah, they were offside. I was typing something in the chat.
Yeah, it's great. That's another thing that we can mention. It's a good pickup, Bucklocks. I love seeing all the, you know, usually it's like current coaches and GMs as players. Ron Hextall in the goal here.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He scored with
old fucking Hextall was like. Let's shift into that. We haven't done that yet. Let's talk about our favorite players in the era. Like, Gretzky was still playing. You had this was the year after that Wayne Gretzky bastard. In the 93 Cup that Montreal won, they won it against Los Angeles, but that was the year that in the Toronto-Los Angeles game, Gretzky fouled Doug Gilmour, and it's considered like the holy grail of Toronto controversies because Gretzky never got a penalty.
Yeah.
And then he went on to assist in getting the game-winning goal.
Right.
And, of course, everybody in Toronto holds that against him, and, of course, now he faux pas, and he's no longer the greatest goal scorer ever, so we don't like him anymore. Get out of Canada. Not that he's ever been here.
Right. Yeah, and I actually a good call out is that if you've got ESPN or Disney now or whatever combination of the two, we got Beagles joining the party in here. They got the collars on.
Yeah, we can hear them.
They got cut their nails or something, man. The King's Ransom documentary is really, really good. It's just kind of funny, like, man, Canada's, you know, the greatest player of all time from Canada comes to LA, and then, you know, that happens, and that's got to sting.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was such a huge event in Canada. Like when Gretzky announced that he was going to L.A. there to live with his wife in sin, with the sin being him leaving
Right.
Canada. I remember that. Like there was news conferences, press conferences. Everybody was talking about it. It was like, oh, it's the end of hockey in Canada as we know it, and nothing really changed.
Yeah.
I mean, the game didn't get worse. It was just he left, and Edmonton fell out of graces of being the best team.
I mean,
ever.
it's a big deal, and the beginning of that documentary is really interesting because they talk about what the team means to Edmonton and what those cup wins meant to the city of Edmonton, and it really reminded me a lot of it being a small market and everything, and it really reminded me of Green Bay. Watching stuff about the Packers, it's a lot of the same. The people really get up for it, and that's like the lifeblood of the town.
Yeah. It's weird how sports kind of, it's the thing that the working man goes to take their frustrations out and relax and stuff like that.
Well, not anymore because it's too expensive.
But yeah, that's true. Especially up here, it's always been expensive. All right, Sam, name two teams.
Two teams we want to see play. Give me the Ducks. I want to see you play as the Ducks. That's what I want.
They don't
yes,
exist.
They do. You just passed them. This is the.
Sorry, I was going with D for.
This
Ducks.
is the first.
All right, need second team.
Oh, I don't know. How about Winnipeg? That's who they're playing tonight. This is the last game of the season. Although this is not the Winnipeg that exists today. The Winnipeg that exists today went to Arizona.
Yeah, this is the Arizona Winnipeg. Thomas Steen, God, I remember that. Timu
Yeah,
Solani.
Timu. That's my favorite player.
Yeah,
but not
Phil Housley.
That's Timu, but not where you think he's going to be. He's in Winnipeg still, being the greatest rookie of all time.
All right, I'm turning off the. Oh yeah, there's an option here in the bottom for goalie to automatic or manual.
Yeah, no thanks.
But I'm turning off penalties and line changes this time, just for.
Oh, you're
funsies.
playing as Winnipeg?
And it'll be a cold day in hell before I play as Anaheim.
Yeah, stupid Disney franchise bullshit.
Yeah,
there's actually a
friggin' was it the triple deke, the most pedestrian of maneuvers
Yeah, oh my God, the
ever in
triple deke.
hockey? Like, show me a Michigan. There you go.
Right. Oh, well, that's probably what's going to happen tonight. For those of you just listening on audio, Brian scored immediately as Winnipeg.
Oh, here's a fun little Brian fact for anybody who ever cares about Brian. I actually got to watch Winnipeg Jets. Oh, look at that. Fuck, they scored on me. But I got my first NHL game ever was Winnipeg in the 1980s.
Wow.
And my dad took us to watch the Minnesota North Stars versus Winnipeg.
Wow, what a matchup. Two teams that, I mean, well, Winnipeg does again, but as an expansion, but it's like, well, wait, no, not as an expansion, because that's where Atlanta moved.
No, Winnipeg went to Phoenix, and then Atlanta went to Winnipeg.
And Minnesota went to, like, actually, I think moving hockey teams around is probably one of the more fascinating things to me, or like just sports franchises that have moved, and then obviously like the records move with them, which actually makes it, like football wise, makes the Arizona Cardinals one of the oldest NFL franchises, which is really weird because they started out in Chicago.
Yeah.
But same thing, like, you know, the Winnipeg Jets don't have the old Winnipeg Jets records. That all lives now in friggin' Utah.
No, they'll still live and die by those old records. Like all those banners are up in the
right, as they really should be. But yeah, it's just funny how like technically the records don't live in that franchise anymore.
Yeah, well, technically records don't live in any franchise because all the players that made the records are long retired and or dead.
Well, right, but
like you can't tell me today's Edmonton Oilers are the same as the cup-winning 80s Edmonton Oilers.
Well, don't tell anyone from Edmonton that.
Two different teams, right? Like the only difference is, or only similarity, is that they're both wearing the same jersey.
Yeah, I've gone to I've only been to one NHL game, unfortunately, and that's it did feature the Ducks, but it was in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
It was a few years ago, but
Well, Chicago was a good team a few years ago. Do you remember that series there where Boston looked like they were going to win the cup, and then Chicago got like 2 goals in the last minute and took
I do.
the cup?
I remember that. I was watching that one.
Yeah, I fucking lube up and I watch it on YouTube all the time. Like, I don't hate teams, but God, I hate the Boston Bruins. I hate Marchand and whatever team he's on, which is Florida right now.
He's one of the more hated players just ever, I think, and he really embraces that.
Yeah, well, it's the way he whines when he gets like slew-footed or cheap-shotted, and then he's the dirtiest player on the ice. Like, he's cupping people, he's friggin' slew-footing them, he's going against the rules, and now that Chara's gone, he's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it was. Like, anytime. Well, it's like that Looney Tunes thing where the little dog, big dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like anytime the little dog did anything, the big dog would show up. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's neither here nor there. We're about 50 minutes into it. Do you want to sum up your feelings on this game?
I mean, we can wrap. Now we're just rambling. We've been rambling this whole time. Let us know what you think of the old live podcasting.
You can go to podbean.com and drop a comment, or if your podcast service allows you to leave a comment, do leave a comment, or you can watch this video on YouTube and leave a comment there. If it sucked, let us know, because this is a new idea.
Actually, before we go, let me just kind of scroll through the chat here, because the those that have joined have given us a few comments. So let's just let me just see if there's anything good in here that we can.
Well, I know Bucklocks, he told us his first game, Flyers versus Dallas, which is a banger of a
hell
game.
Yeah, especially in the.
But you think a guy from New Jersey, and if you don't know Bucklocks is from New Jersey, just ask him, he'll let you know. You think he would see the Devils play? You think he'd be a Devils fan?
You know what? The Devils were the team that I adopted because the Ducks suck, and I'm really sick of them missing the playoffs, and so I just decided I would pick an Eastern Conference team, because I don't like most of the other teams in the West for reasons, but I did. I chose the Devils, so go Devils. Otherwise, go fill in the blank team from Canada. I'm gonna run through these. Flyers Stars would be a really great matchup, especially in like the late '90s. Holy shit.
I remember the old Philadelphia Flyers, the brutes they would just absolutely steamroll teams. Like I don't know if that's still how they build their teams, but Philadelphia has always been that let's get into a fight team rather than win the game. And if they had a fight, they would consider themselves the winners. And then for a while there, they were both tough and good.
The Broad Street Bullies.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They've won a few cups, right?
They won a couple in the 70s.
A streak.
Yeah. I don't know about a streak. I think they won a couple. The streak that I think you're talking about is the Islanders.
Islanders, yeah. They were pretty good there in the 80s. I think they were right before Edmonton just decided to dominate the league.
The 80s were the era of the blue and orange teams winning the cup every single year.
Blue and orange, great color combination. It is a great color combination.
I will say one more 30 for 30 I want to shout out. They don't do too many hockey ones, but the other one that I really enjoyed was the one where that random businessman came in and bought the Islanders for basically wrote bad checks and bought the New York Islanders. that one's nuts, and that's the era of the Gordon Fish Sticks logo. What a delight that one was.
That's
that
awesome.
One was even more fun than the Gretzky one. That's probably my favorite 30 for 30. Going back through here real quick. Thanks for joining, everyone. This was pretty cool. I'd like to get into streaming myself, so if you'd like to see me stream a game, probably be a turn-based RPG or something that I don't have to focus on too much while streaming, let me know. Sergeant Ombre says, "Go Anaheim Ducks." Thanks, buddy. They are out, but I will be cheering them on tonight for the final game. They'll probably get crushed by the Jets.
Oh yeah, Jets are like top of the league.
Hoagie Man says, "I'll have to let you know when I pick up Pikmin so we can cover that." Hell yeah, I love Pikmin. That's not anything to do with hockey, but I love Pikmin, so whatever. Our
podcast,
we'll talk about whatever. Bucklock says, "I was an NHL 96 kid, but later came to appreciate the greatness of 94. Same here. Actually, I don't think I got a chance to really say this, but I think my NHL on Sega experience was with my cousin. We'd play 96 a lot, and also shout out to Madden.
Sounds like your first time.
Oh God, with my cousin, and and also we played the hell out of Madden 95, which I don't know if we do a full episode on Madden 95, but I think I have a copy here, and I think I'd do a quick play on that one. That's a meaningful game from my childhood, especially because you could put in the code to get the Jaguars and the Panthers, and that was kind of fun. I think that's about it. I mean, we weren't interacting with the chat too much, but it was cool to see you guys pop in there and chat us a little bit while we were doing the podcast. So I don't know. Again, let us know what you think of this as an audio format. It might not work that well, but we'll post Brian said he'd post the video. So with the video, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
Hoagie Man, I didn't realize this is a podcast as well. Yeah, this is the episode, buddy.
Yeah. Let's summarize our thoughts on this.
Yes.
Let's just kind of get into the end of this, and then we can end our recording and just
play.
Finish the stream here. And yeah, exactly. And then maybe one day we'll figure out a multiplayer game we can take on and stream together.
Sounds like a disaster.
Best friends.
All right,
Fuck you fucking spawn camper. Hey, yeah, you go ahead.
I am technically the host, so I'm gonna let you sum up, and I'll give the final thoughts. How about that?
Oh, okay. All right, so yeah, this game is pretty nostalgic for me. This game, it's just hitting right. Like, I'm playing this game and I'm able to just talk. Like, I'm everything I'm doing right now is muscle memory, and it's especially easy now that I don't have the line changes and stuff on. But I was really into the NHL, like hockey card collecting, all that kind of stuff, and I started as a Montreal fan because as a military kid, I moved around a lot. So I went with the team my dad went with. But when I finally got to Ontario, all my friends were Toronto fans, and that's who I started watching. And that's why I became a Toronto fan. And I've been a Toronto fan for, God, since about like 1989. And I just, I've stuck with them through thick or thin. So, people shit on Toronto all the time. But I'm getting off topic. Let's talk about the game. Overall, it plays good. It is fun. It is simplistic. It feels like almost an arcadey game where you can just pick it up and go. You can have a quick game that doesn't last too long. You can set the time between 5 to 20 minutes. It is just outstanding. It is an outstanding game. It gets a full 10 out of 10 for me, so I'm going to go ahead and just say that right now. I'm not one of those people who, has their favorite game. Like, nothing's getting compared to Chrono Trigger in my life, so everything can get a 10 out of 10. And in sports game world, this is my 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah, well put.
That's my summary.
Put. Yeah, I really do enjoy this game. And games of its ilk on the 16-bit systems. This really takes me back to a simpler time. I mean, the sports games were simpler. Everything was simpler. Oh, penalty shot. Whoa. That's pretty cool. Anyways, sorry, I got distracted by the stream again. Yeah, I don't think specific experience with NHL 94 like you do, but played a bunch of 96. Going back to it and playing it these last couple weeks has been a real joy. Like you said, it's fun, it's simplistic. It kind of just nails it. It's the peak retro hockey game, I think, and it's just testament to its lasting power that people remember it so fondly, and EA has even gone in and made an updated version of this game with modern players. It's perfection. It's pick up and play perfection. And I'm going to give it a maybe like a 9 out of 10. I mean, I just don't have the same nostalgia with it, but I do appreciate.
No, because you played the Sega
yeah,
version.
that too. Like, I think I do. Looking at this, I think the Super Nintendo version is probably the better version. But yeah, I mean, like going in there and seeing old players and obviously old teams and logos and things is really nostalgic. And yeah, it was a simpler time, man. This goes right in there with your Nicktoons and your 16-bit sports games and everything that. Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking about it, like while we were talking, like at the beginning there when I was picking the teams, I was like, Anaheim existed back then. It's amazing how old some of these franchises are.
Oh,
getting.
yeah.
Like I saw the Ottawa Senators there as well, and I forgot that when they joined the league, because they were one of those like original teams before the original six. Like they're an ancient team, and they're in this again. It just, yeah, like we had 28 teams by this point,
right? And
I'd have to count again.
Now we're up to 32.
Like not a lot of teams are missing.
No, yeah, it's pretty incredible. Yeah, great game. So. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to those of you who joined the stream. That was really cool. Hopefully we can do something like this again in the future, and we'll work
hopefully
this worked. We'll work the kinks out and or add kinky. What do we got next week, Brian? Final Fantasy IV.
Oh yeah, next week we're doing Next week is going to be Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds.
Oh shoot, that's right. We changed up the schedule a little bit, but yeah, Link Between Worlds. That's a great game.
Yeah, and it's going to be the first episode where me, you, and Alan are back together since I was able to or unable to record regularly.
Yeah, it's really just been Retrobytes. So thanks again, everyone. We'll do another quick plug: Linktree/Retrotopia, where you can find all of our stuff, and hopefully we've been working on some pretty exciting things behind the scenes, so hopefully that will be up and running pretty soon, and we can share that with everyone. But I'll keep my cards close to the...
well, if you check our Discord, you can find our first ever Retrotopia t-shirt.
Hell yeah.
Which is part of teepublic there. And saying made by Sam, logo made by me, proofread by Alan. It's a collaboration that we love.
Yeah, so go check that out. It's the show us your RPG-ness shirt. So if you know, you know, and if you don't, listen to the most recent Retrobytes, as we came up with that, and good job turning that around really quick. So I will sign us off. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Go Ducks. Sorry that it's the season's over, but let's give it a go, Maple Leafs. How about that?